Greetings. This is Professor Mark Gura. Welcome to my class, where my students and I shine a light on education and bring it into sharp focus. Our goal is high-quality teaching and learning, something we stretch for through facing unvarnished truths and seeking practical insights. What follows is a conversation I had with Miss Clemencia Acevedo when she visited the class. Clemencia is an in-service teacher in New York City. She's constantly engaged in things that make her teaching experience interesting, exciting, and inspiring. This is aligned with doing the same for her students' learning experience. She accomplishes this through taking advantage of online connections that are widely available for those teachers who seek them out. This was a great conversation. Thanks, Clemencia. Clemencia, I want to present to you as a colleague. She's a full-time working in-service teacher. I'm going to spend a few minutes introducing her and letting her introduce herself. I interviewed Clemencia and produced a YouTube video of that interview, which was about her contribution of a chapter to this book that I put together for ISTE and which was published 8 or 9 months ago. You'll recognize that, Clemencia, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. So in that book, we have credits of all of the contributing writers. And for completeness, these are your bona fides, and they're quite extensive. I mean, I see you've written and published on your own without me, and you've produced things for
PBS,
PBS, yes.
the National Writing Project.
She was selected as a WNET PBS Digital Innovator a few years back, an EdTech model teacher by the New York City Department of Ed. So I bring her into the class really as a colleague. The way I would put it, Clemencia, is you are winning at teaching. And I don't say that lightly because how long have you been a teacher for now?
12 years.
I remember, because I was a classroom teacher in New York City for almost 20 years. You teach in West Harlem. By now, I've met literally thousands of teachers. And I think it's true that a great many of us, by the time they're in for a decade, many of them, in some schools, most of them, they're weary. We use the term burnt out. They're not enthused, but you are quite the opposite. And I know from experience that that's not because you got lucky. It's because you made your own luck. The full title of this class, Clemencia, is Technology Integration for School Leaders. And we use school leader in the sense of peer leader, teacher to teacher. So you'll recognize this is from your Facebook page.
Yes, I use social media to connect with educators. I try not to have this feeling of apathy. I don't like to feel frustrated in my career, and teaching there's so much going on, and it just, so I need to stay happy.
I think you're being modest. You're at the Don Pedro Albizu Campos School in West Harlem. That's PSMS 161. Your typical school, right?
It's an urban school.
Inner city school, yeah.
Inner city, yes.
Probably Title I, largely.
It's a Title I school that has different populations. It has a large number of Ls. What people say inner city schools with many challenges, but many great things.
I know you to be very enthused, very involved. I say winning at teaching, meaning I think you often go home satisfied, feeling you made a difference, you were appreciated, that your job is interesting. and you're growing as a person and a professional.
You're right. I make it work for me, being focused on what I want to get accomplished. I do different things in order for me to stay motivated and have strategies in the classroom where the kids learn and it's not. So at the end of the day, I have energy, but also I feel happy that I'm doing my best. Well, not always successful, but trying and looking for different strategies is what matters.
In many ways, you remind me of myself. My first 5 years were horrible. I was not a good teacher. And like a lot of teachers today, I learned on the job by doing. Somehow, by applying myself after 5 years, I got it. There were a bunch of years there where I thought, boy, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And then at a certain point, I realized there's a lot in this for me, and by that I mean personal growth. I found things that were fascinating. So how do I know all of this about Clemencia? By the way, how long have we known each other, would you say?
How long? 6 years?
Yeah, 5 or 6 years, something like that, right?
Mostly we met online.
Yeah, I think we should reveal that we've never met face to face.
Oh yeah, we haven't. Oh yeah,
We've
that's
never
weird.
have. But we worked together on a book chapter and a YouTube video and some other things as well. So I know all of this about you because you're big into social media as I'll call it as a resource, as a source, and an outlet for your professional life. And so here, just today, I was stalking your Facebook page. And I see you posted this in Facebook today or recently. This is complex, You're talking about a chapter that you read recently. This is from The Fifth Discipline, which I recognize as one of Peter Senge's books. And so you were particularly taken with this. What did you see here that moved you to share this with your colleagues on Facebook through social media?
Yeah, so going to your initial points of how you know me through social media, I started interacting with people online, especially through Facebook, maybe 10 years already, out of a need. I also struggled in the early years of my teaching. I had to find a way to overcome the challenges that I was facing in the classroom, and we mean by classroom management. I found this Facebook group, the New York Schools Tech. In that Facebook group, you have New York City teachers posting questions around technology and around instruction. So I found that Facebook group and I joined it, and I was reading people's responses or posts, and I just really felt so empowered by what they were saying. I started asking questions there of what I was struggling with, and I started getting answers. So that's how I started connecting with people on social media. Over time, I have heard different people, now that I listen through podcasts, that it's important to share what you know. I think we can use social media as a productive tool to share what we know, because I have benefited so much by reading what other educators post. So this chapter comes out of it's a book that I'm reading because I'm going for a second master's to become a future principal. Let's see where that takes me. This book that I started reading, it's The Fifth Discipline. It's amazing. It gives you a vision of the importance of how you can run a school, and the importance of having people collaborate, because collaborating makes things better. But for something to happen, certain conditions have to be in place first.
Well said. It's been a while since I've read Peter Senge, but if I recall, he's about learning organizations. His vision of that is very different than what I've experienced in many schools, where what you really have is organized bodies of individuals. But he's all about collaboration and the conditions that people can create. I'm not talking about physical conditions, but shared visions and shared understandings that can lead to a very fertile learning environment. And a lot of people have taken interest in these ideas. I was happy when I saw that you posted this on Facebook. My impression is you use Facebook as kind of as a learning journal.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, people have told me that we can use social media as a constructive tool to share things. So
here's another screen grab I took from your Facebook page. This one maybe a couple of weeks ago. But I mean, that's why I call this your professional growth journal, your diary. I mean, because if I remember, you were saying that you were sitting, having coffee, and you were doing your reading for this master's in not so much school administration. I think you're, like me, you're more interested in supervision of instruction, supporting teachers. I see you post this kind of thing often. This is what I'm reading now. This is what I'm taking away from it. I recommend this. Speaking of social media, you do use other social media professionally as well, I think.
LinkedIn, yes, I do have a presence there as well. So I have connected with a variety of colleagues that I have met online as well, that I have collaborated with in different projects in LinkedIn. But also there are some special people that are doing amazing things in the classroom that are in LinkedIn, and they share what they do as well, what they do in the classroom, and you know, I get encouraged by it. But it's a way for me to share what I'm doing, but also to get what ideas from them as well. Share if you want to, but definitely if you are looking for something or struggling with something, or you want to expand your boundaries and your knowledge, you can follow these amazing people who share their richness or wealth.
So now I know that you, because we're going to share some resources you wanted to recommend to my students here towards the end. So I know you're a fan now. You listen to podcasts about teaching, YouTube, of course, and I don't know, maybe Instagram.
So there are some people that I follow on podcast. There is this person, his name is Dave Burgess, and he used to be an educator, but now I think he has an independent publishing company where he supports teachers or principals, superintendents who have published books around education. And he has a way of speaking with them and gathering information from them, that they share their experiences in teaching, their journeys, and like at the personal level, how they also grew as individuals, as professionals. The people that he interviews, they share so much stuff that I find very valuable. The thing that I also find valuable is that we all struggle, but the thing that we have to, I guess, evaluate is how can we look at those struggles and find a solution to overcome those struggles, because there are some people in the past and now that have found solutions to their problems, and sometimes the answers that I look for, he has them in his podcast. So I highly recommend anybody to follow him.
He's become rather popular.
He deserves it because he's great. My personal opinion.
No, he's a very smart man. And his book, Teach Like a Pirate, was very popular a few years back. And there's your school.
That's my school, yes.
You know, in this class, we wrapped our brains around how, I'll use the term ordinary teacher. But I mean, someone in the classroom who's interested and tech savvy and understands how technology can make the learning experience improved and more vital for students, how this teacher-to-teacher approach can really help. And I don't know if you're preparing yourself to be a principal, there must be colleagues who've sought you out or who want some of what you've learned or some of your enthusiasm.
You know, the thing is that sometimes when we are in the classroom as teachers, it could be a very isolating type of profession.
Yes.
Because it's just a demand of the profession, and we spend so many hours putting lessons together, so just thinking what we're going to do in the classroom. So but for me, I know that that's a reality, but I try to connect with educators outside the classroom. So whenever there are professional development sessions, whenever I can, I try to join them so that I can connect with people. And yeah, people recognize that aspect of somebody who is actively searching to better yourself. And so yeah, I connect with people differently. So sometimes when I see them doing things, they encourage me to explore different paths and different things, exploring other things.
It's been said by many people, myself included, for a very long period of time, that teaching is isolated. You know, I mean, traditionally, it's Miss Acevedo in room, whatever it is.
227.
Yeah, just Miss Acevedo and 30 kid or however many kids in room 227. And that's pretty much the teacher's experience. Occasionally you see what's going on with your neighbor down the hall, or you have a little conversation in the teacher's lounge or lunchroom. It's very isolated. But now with this multi-dimensional connection, doesn't really need to be that way anymore. But still, this person-to-person sharing, I think, helps. I just thought I'd bring that up because it's a theme in this class. I don't know if does that happen in your school, that teachers can get some quick support from a colleague?
Yes, it depends on the school culture. In my school, there have been many teachers who have stayed in the school and purposely create a welcoming environment. So there is the culture of like helping each other or like checking on each other. It's a very friendly school among staff members, among teachers.
And why do you think that is? Because there are so many schools where that's not the case.
It's many factors. That environment really set by the conditions that are in place by administrators, in the sense of like having teams of teachers to collaborate and help each other. The principal being flexible in terms of allowing teachers autonomy, allow teachers or new ideas to be implemented by teachers. And my opinion, based on what I have seen, not too much micromanagement. If you believe as a principal that your teachers are professionals and you let them do or explore what they want to, because they are professionals, I think that sets the culture that people are respected as teachers and they can create great things.
And these are the sorts of things that Peter Senge is talking about, creating a climate where people can support one another. So this is another podcast that you enjoy. This is called Principal Liner Notes.
Yeah, so I started listening to educational podcasts first through him, Sean Gaylord. He's a principal based, I think, in North Carolina, and he has this hobby, I think, of talking about his passion for music, especially the Beatles, and around his experience as a principal. And he has this podcast, and he also, similar to Dave Burgess, he interviews also teachers, principals, superintendents, former teachers who are running podcasts or doing something different now that they have retired or they are still in education. And similar to Dave, they talk about their experience, their journey as educators, what they do to stay healthy, mentally healthy, to continue stay positive, and and I like it. And I gathered from him the idea, from him and other people, that we can be teachers and it's great, but it would be also great to follow a passion, to follow something that you like on the side. So me, at the personal level, I used to work in the film industry in my 20s, more on the business side. And I always liked that world of like film and filmmakers and intellectual conversations. So now that I'm an established teacher, I started like using film it's a hobby. So I started to connect again with like people in the film industry and promote their work online. So that's my hobby. But just following what he's thinking of, find the passion so you can always stay sane and you can always stay positive. And I always want to stay positive and not bitter in my life.
It's a wonderful thing. You have a personal interest and you have found connections between your personal interest and your everyday professional job that gives you your living. Do you bring film into your classroom?
To make teaching engaging, I always look for videos that I could use to help the kids understand concepts that we are reading in class, or something that might be too abstract for them. But in addition to that, and it comes with years in experience, I started doing a project-based learning type of thing, where the kids would create a writing piece, and based on that writing piece, they would create a video around it using images, either drawings that they created or images they would find online. But for that to happen, we do have to have the time to do that in the classroom. And sometimes we will be situations or semesters where we have to follow the curriculum faithfully, as they say. So there is no time to do those type of project-based learning activities. But I would say that towards the end of the years in June, when evaluations are done, we have more flexibility to explore different things to create with the students. I would recommend to explore having the kids to use media for them to create projects. It's fun. They like it. They do really do like it.
This is one of many ways that you make your job. It's not just fun and interesting, sounds trite, you know. I gather that there's deep interest you have in film, and when you get to bring it into your class, it's a special thing, and your students pick up on that.
They really do.
Well, I know your students pick up on the things that you're passionate about and that you share with them. It's not always easy to get this kind of response out of your students. I gather you were out and they thought you were ill and they messaged you somehow, feel better soon. Ms. Acevedo, what are we looking at here?
So I'm usually not absent in the year. Rarely I'm absent. And if I'm absent, it's because I'm sick or something happens that I need to really take care of. So recently, maybe 3 weeks ago, I had to be absent, and I had a couple of the kids send me messages on Google Classroom. So feel better, because they didn't know that the reason why I was absent, but they were checking on me. And that's a good feeling. You know, the kids miss you, but they do miss me. I'm a little bit strict, but I'm also fair. They do know that, they talk about it. But I try to find as much as possible fun activities for them to engage in. So they feel it, and they evaluate. They feel very connected with us.
So this is interesting. So you took a capture of that from Google Classroom and shared it with the rest of us through Facebook using social media. Gave me some important information about your relationship to your students and the kind of classroom you run. I appreciated it. This is something you put together for WNET, supporting all learners with instructional videos. That's kind of what you were talking about before. You have a passion for film, or is this a purely functional videos that you're talking about here?
I have been approached by PBS in the past because they, like you, they see the work that I do sometimes, and asked me to run a presentation along with one of her colleagues. So I did, and write a piece that they could publish in their website.
And I did, and at that time I was exploring on using videos that would have questions in the videos for the kids to do independent work. Or if I would be teaching something, I would have another group or would have a group of students working independently, watching those videos, but they would be held accountable watching the videos by answering questions. So they would not just be skipping the videos.
Again, I think it's very good that you share what you do and other people like yours truly can see what it is that you're doing with your students, which is why I invited you to contribute to the ISTE book. So where do you shine in on webinars?
That would be another way of professional development. As a teacher, if you're looking for something in particular, let's say a strategy on how to teach something, you can always go into the website and search for webinars. Sometimes there are some webinars that you can benefit from. PBS has webinars. So sometimes they collaborate with teachers throughout the country, and they use their materials. So they have like videos, like short videos, and the teachers that they work with, they create lesson plans around those videos with like strategies. And then they invite those teachers to webinars to talk about the resources on PBS. Webinars are another useful way to get professional learning. The museums also, like the museums that we have in the country, especially in New York City, they do provide also sometimes webinars where they talk about what they have in their museums for teachers. And sometimes they also invite teachers to come and talk about how they are using their resources in their classrooms.
Listening to you talk about all of these varieties of things available for teachers and ways that you can learn from colleagues, things that you might want to do. In my mind, you're a good model for a peer leader in a school. Someone could come to you and ask for recommendations. You don't have to sit down with them for an hour-long PD session. You can share it informally. And I think what I'd like to see is school administrations encouraging this, peer-to-peer, colleague-to-colleague. So this screenshot is you were talking about Lisa Nielsen's, she started this Facebook group. I'll call it is a Facebook group. I'll call it a PLN, a professional learning network, happens to run over Facebook. This one I think is very interesting. It says on the top, it's a private group. It's 7,500 members, private or not. I think anyone who requests to join us, if you have a legitimate reason, if you're a teacher, probably going to let you in. I get notices of posts in there all the time. I'm probably a member of, by this point, 15 teacher groups on Facebook. Recently, I joined 3 or 4 AI using teacher groups.
Well, that's the way to grow. I like to follow people because they encourage me, they influence me. There is another one that I follow that I belong to. It's called the National Writing Project Studio. They have different like branches or different windows or groups within that platform where teachers who do writing with their students share prompts, like writing prompts that they use with their students. They share about what they do, what's the process, and what's the end product. And they also inform about upcoming PDs that they have online. That's another big one that I would recommend.
Good. So you very kindly sent me a list of things you recommend. I see some other things here that, in my mind, this is a good way to get yourself motivated, get yourself inspired. We were talking about the isolation in the classroom, and what's so wonderful now is thinking about that Facebook group. New York City has, I don't know, I guess 80,000 plus teachers, and they will never meet face to face for the most part. But through a group like that, I mean, if you teach in the Bronx, you can collaborate or just swap ideas with someone in Staten Island or Rockaway. So this is a wonderful time we're teaching in with all of this connectivity. Unfortunately, it doesn't get talked about. So what's in PBS Learning Media that you want to recommend?
So go to PBS Learning Media and then look at the videos that they have. They have them for different subjects. So when you click on the videos, right, you're going to see on the right side, there are going to be resources. Look at the resources, look at the classroom activities that you can do with the students. What I like also about PBS is that they have interactive websites. So for example, I'm teaching right now Science 7th grade tectonic plates. And they do have some interactive websites where actually it's a simulation that the kids can click on it, or I can click on it when I'm teaching it and explaining it, where it actually shows exactly what happens. For example, when like two plates come together and they crash and they create mountains or create volcanoes. So they have those resources. I find them very useful because, like what I was saying before, technology can be a tool to help the kids understand a concept that for them, they have no experience.
Well, thanks for sharing that, because I've been looking for a good example of a simulation. So here's our friend Dave Burgess again.
I didn't mention this, but I think he runs a Twitter chat. Well, now it's X chat. You know, like they have like questions that they post questions, I think on Saturday, around education, and different educators from different fields, different education levels join, and they express their experience on different themes around education. Whenever I have time, I join it as well. And it's a way also of connecting with people online.
And it's enjoyable too, right? I mean, if you're a teacher who cares about teaching, there's some entertainment value in many of these podcasts, at least hopefully. So quickly, if you join LinkedIn, you can follow these two. And what would you get by following these colleagues?
So Koya Wharton was a PBS colleague. So I collaborated with him through a PBS program. And he's the fellow I was talking about, that who is a high school teacher who does filmmaking with his students, and writing around different topics, and then they turn their work into film. And he posts what he does, the way he works with his students. So you can see pictures, you can get encouragement to see what he does, something different that he does in his classroom. Carrie McCarvey, she's New York City's teacher in Queens. She's an elementary teacher. And again, she's one of those innovator teachers where she uses, based on what I know about her in the past, she uses a lot of like the Apple features to have the kids demonstrate their work through Apple Pages, let's say like a digital book or something like that. She also now has expanded her learning into using STEM. So I know she runs a class in STEM. I know she uses AI already, and she also is part of a group where they have this, what is it called, Minecraft club. I think they use Minecraft to find solutions to problems.
So, Clemencia, thank you very much. You've given us a view into your very full, very interesting life as a teacher. Again, I think this is the way it ought to be, that teachers find ways to make their job interesting, fascinating, meaningful, just satisfying.
Yeah,
go ahead. You can have the last word.
I feel like for you to survive in a very challenging field, it takes work, but in my opinion, try to be active in connecting with educators and learning from educators if you want to survive. In the long run, it's going to make your job a lot easier.
Well said. And thanks for sharing Miss Acevedo's flavor of that.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Just keep going. You're going to be a great principal because you've got the fire for the teaching. You don't have your eyes on leaving the classroom. You find the classroom really interesting. That comes across loud and clear. So I think that's going to make you the kind of principal I admire. Thanks again for joining us, Clemencia.
Bye. Good luck, everybody.